Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Generator Founder Series Spotlight. I'm Troy Vossler, co-founder of Generator, and today I'm joined with Adam Martin, co-founder and CEO of Qwyn AI. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks, Troy. Excited to be here.
Well, let's jump in. Please start by introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background, and then tell us about the company. Tell us about Qwyn AI. How did you come up with the idea? What's the genesis behind it, and what do you all do?
Yeah, absolutely. Great questions. Appreciate it. So, my name is Adam Martin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Qwyn AI. We are the only AI investigator purpose-built for pharma manufacturing teams to help them investigate deviations to produce medicine safer and faster. I know that's a little bit of a mouthful with some technicalities there, but what that really means to you and I in the healthcare landscape as consumers of healthcare is about 10% of all batches of medication actually fail manufacturing and quality standards, which, according to the FDA, actually results in about 60% of the drug shortages. It costs companies over $100 billion dollars a year to deal with that. And as of right now, I believe there's about actively 40 million people on the active shortage list waiting for life-saving medications. So that means to you and I, like we or our loved ones might not be getting the medication that we actually need because of problems in the manufacturing process. And so our team is building an AI platform that helps investigate those deviations from the beginning all the way to the end so they can release that medicine safer and faster. How we got to the company really is, I'm an entrepreneur from growing up. I started my first company when I was 14. I grew that to be one of the top 10 largest RV rental companies in America. And then I took a completely different wandering path and spent almost 2 decades in enterprise B2B software. I kind of went through the ranks of support to support leadership, global services, and then ultimately found a home at Salesforce, where I was there for almost a decade working with some of the largest pharma companies in the world: Lilly, AbbVie, Pfizer, Takeda, you name any top 10. I've had a hand in helping them do digital transformation. And that's really where I found my passion for life sciences, not only in the people who produce the medicine, but I saw a direct impact of how technology helped in my life as a caregiver for an aging disabled father. And I knew that's what I wanted to build. My co-founder has spent 25 years in pharma manufacturing, and we knew with AI that there was, a big challenge that was unmet and unaddressed, and we decided to, take a leap and start a company to solve that challenge.
That's such a cool story. I'm a big believer of kind of these orthogonal backgrounds. In your case, RV rentals to pharma quality control, right? It's
Yep.
a big leap, and I think there's sometimes flawed conventional wisdom that like you need this deep domain expertise in order to have this point of view. And I'm much more of a believer, and I think you're evidence of that of just general business acumen and kind of even this ambidextrous mindset is valuable, and I think you're proof of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe in the same mindset. I mean, I think Elon Musk proved that anybody can become a rocket scientist if they want.
There you go. And then tell us about the current status of the company, whether that's traction or customers or financing, however you wanted to find that, what's the current status of Quinn AI?
Yeah, it was so we started in 2024, and we spent a little bit of time really kind of doing discovery, trying to figure out what are we going to build, what is the right way to do that. Very early in the days of kind of generative AI, especially in the pharma landscape, it was very early, and so we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what we're going to build. We initially started a fundraising round in late 2024. And decided we just weren't at a point yet where we were ready to do that. And so we decided to pause that and really go build some traction and ensure we knew what we were building. And I needed to give my co-founder time to come on board full time as well because he's an executive of a pharma company and needed some transition time. So he came on board full time in 2025, the beginning of the year. We had already started building our product when he came on board. And then we successfully completed our first fundraise, a pre-seed fundraise, in August of last year with M25 Kinetic Ventures and the Gracious Fund. So we've had some great investors who are really helping us bring this vision to life. We launched our first MVP of the product really in the April to May timeframe of last year. And then really finalized that V1 over probably the next few months after that. And we actually just went live late last year with our first customer with a six-figure enterprise contract. And we specifically work in like enterprise pharma. We specifically work in what are called CDMOs, manufacturers. So in that process of helping them manufacture medication. For me, I'm a selling CEO. I'm sales first, product second, and helping our customers. And so I really focus on how do we increase the top of the funnel pipeline. We've got a number of high profile prospects in there that are in the top 10 pharmaceutical animal health landscape, and really trying to grow the business. So I think we're doing a really good job in that area. We're in a B2B enterprise sales cycle. It's much slower than what you might expect from like a rev tech or something like that, but it's much more impactful as well. And we will be launching our seed round funding probably in the next month or two, I would imagine.
I love it. Well, congrats on the most recent fundraise. Congrats on the revenue starting to come through the contract. So all exciting stuff and good momentum.
Thank you.
And then where are you and the company located?
Yeah, we're based out of Indianapolis.
Nice.
Actually, it works really well for us. A lot of people don't really know, but we are the life sciences capital of the entire United States. We actually surpassed California last year. I think with 99 billion in pharma exports, a lot of that is driven by Lilly and Roche. But there's a really big push with U.S. manufacturing to onshore because it's a pretty big geopolitical risk for us. And Indiana is really becoming that life sciences mecca and that life sciences hub. And so it positions us really well here in kind of that Midwest heartland for our use case and our customers.
We're big fans of Indiana and Indy, so very cool to see you located and thriving there. I'm going to shift to a couple founder-centric questions. So, what was the biggest challenge you faced as a founder, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for me, really the biggest challenge that I faced as a founder was becoming a founder again. I started my first company when I was 14. We grew that to be a really large company. I've not been shy about some of the challenges that my family had growing up. It took me a while to get there, but my dad is bipolar, and he's severely manic depressive, and often that meant we would do really well in life, and then he would make poor business decisions and put us on the verge of bankruptcy and homelessness multiple times. And I determined, fairly early on, maybe when I was 17 or 18, after things kind of went south with the business that I had built because of some decisions he made, that wasn't the life that I wanted. And I had met my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, and we have 4 kids together. And I just wanted a different life than that. And so I went completely opposite and spent time in corporate, a long time in corporate, and that urge to be an entrepreneur and even to be an entrepreneur at a corporation never went away. And it was like I was never satisfied by the work that I was doing. But it was really hard because I felt the journey that I had been through early in life was the journey I might go through again, and I didn't want that for my family. And it took maturing and really trying things to figure out that one man's journey is not every man's journey. So jumping off of that like ledge of fear was the biggest challenge I had becoming a founder. But I can say it's been well worth it.
I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's something that many people go through, similar situations that and I would argue is not talked about enough. So I very much appreciate you sharing that, and even if there's one person that can relate to that and see you persevere through that, I think it's important. And again, I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
What's one thing you wish you learned sooner as a founder?
That's a great question. So early on, when I started the company, I came from Salesforce. And if you're familiar with the Salesforce ecosystem in Indianapolis, ExactTarget was how Salesforce made it to Indianapolis. And at the time, it was the single largest software acquisition made in general. It was a $2.5 billion acquisition. It put Indiana on the map. And because I had access to that network, I tapped into it very quickly. Indy's a small area. And I was able to meet with one of the former founders of ExactTarget. He runs a VC High Alpha. His name is Eric Tobias. And one of the things that he said to me that just sticks out every single day and has come more true every day is narrow, narrow, narrow. And when you think you haven't narrowed enough, narrow again. And I don't know that I really internalized it in that meeting. Then I went and ran, trying to figure out what should I build, what should I do as a founder. And that always kept coming back, narrow, narrow, narrow. In the beginning, we wanted to build all kinds of products and do all kinds of things. And you can't do everything really well, but you can do one thing really well. And so, that's true whether it's the product that you're building as an entrepreneur or the things that you do as an entrepreneur and a founder to move the needle for your business. And so I'm kind of in that era of how do I narrow more and say no to more things to ensure that I'm only focused on what moves the needle for us as a business. And that's something that when I heard it, I didn't internalize it, but it comes up every single day now.
I love that. Narrow, narrow, narrow. And obviously, any advice coming from someone as successful as Eric is well worth listening to and executing on. So, thank you for sharing that. And when did you go through Generator? Which program was that?
Yeah, I was able to go through. I started when I first started the company, I started talking to Camillo about the program, and he had mentioned that you are already working on some new life sciences program, and that one might be a good fit. So we kept in conversations in late 2024, and then in 2025, when the IU Lab Accelerator came through, that was really the perfect opportunity to join with the focus on IU Lab, with the pharma focus, with the life sciences focus. It was a really good opportunity. And so I joined the inaugural cohort of the IU Lab generator.
Nice, I love it. And then, and shout out to Camilo, our managing director
Absolutely.
there with the IU Lab program. Tell me more about your generator experience and perhaps how did the accelerator help you the most?
Yeah, it was a great experience and it helped me in a couple of different ways. I think one was just the broad network that Generator has and the mentor swarms of bringing very specific people to help us get through very specific challenges and even just learn more about our area of business. So, there were CEOs from pharma companies, there were CEOs from CDMOs that were brought into the mentor swarm that have since turned into conversations to help move the needle for our business or just helped us understand what message might be important to a CEO of a pharma company. And so I think the mentor swarms were one of the biggest assets of the program that we really liked. And then I think the overall structure of how it was run just to ensure we have our pitch down, we're talking to investors the right way, and then we have a network of other founders who are going through it with us to kind of commiserate with us and share and learn from that. So I think overall it was a great experience in those ways.
I love it. I appreciate the anecdotes on that. Um, and then having gone through an accelerator, having gone through IU Lab, powered by Generator, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs and founders that are considering an accelerator and perhaps how can they get the most out of it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. One of the things that I think we probably could have done a little bit better, and we had to kind of spend a little bit of time working to do some of that work up front. Had we have done it before, was ensure we know what we want to get out of the accelerator and where we need the most help. And like every startup founder with a small team, you're kind of running around with a chicken with your head cut off. We got into the program, and we hadn't fully outlined all of the goals. And I think the good structure of Generator is that Camillo sat us down and said, okay, we got to make sure we understand the goals and where you need help. Going into any accelerator, you should ensure you align with what that accelerator can help you with and what your goals are. And so, had we have done a little bit more work up front, we probably could have maybe got a few more connections a little bit faster, or went through a little bit of the process a little bit faster. So, I think the best advice is make sure you understand what the accelerator provides and how they can help you best, and that you go into it knowing what are the goals and the areas that you need help aligned to that accelerator so you can take advantage of the network and the process in the accelerator.
Yeah, yeah, very good advice. Um, Tell me about what was your favorite part of the program, or perhaps the favorite connection that you made as a result of the IU Lab program.
Yeah, I mean, I would go back to even the echo the sentiment I had a minute ago. Is like the mentor swarms were probably one of the best parts of like being able to, in a rapid fire succession, ask very specific questions that we needed help with for our business with people who have kind of been there and done that. That also then turned into further conversations for our business or partnership opportunities. So I think that was one of the single most valuable things and my favorite part about it. I think again, shout out to Camillo. He ran a great program. He continuously checked in on us and pushed us to ask for more out of the accelerator to ensure we were getting the most of that network. And I'd say just the program management of it was a really valuable aspect of that is probably often overlooked. Maybe they're just kind of seen as a project manager or a program manager, but in reality, that's your gatekeeper to the entire generator network who can unlock the things that you need as a business.
I love that. All right, my last question, Adam, is if you had one ask for this audience, people watching this interview, maybe it's an introduction that you're looking for, a mentor, just general advice, an investor, customer, what would your ask be?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So I'll frame it in this way. One of the things I think about as Midwest founders, I think I saw a stat yesterday or the other day that something like 90% of funding goes to Silicon Valley, and most of the innovation happens in Silicon Valley. And I think Midwest founders are often overlooked. When in reality, like I'm looking at Lilly out our window right now, and insulin was invented in Indianapolis. And there's a lot of innovation happening here, but we often don't have access to the investors on the West Coast. And so, I would love to. I'm a big fan of A16Z. We may not be ready for them as a company yet, but I do think that we're building something really innovative in a space that matters. And I would love to talk to the team at A16Z because I think there's so many overlooked founders doing amazing things in the AI space that deserve to have that Silicon Valley connection.
I love it. Well, if you got a connection to A16Z, I know they recently launched their speed run program and can make a connection to Adam. Please help facilitate that. Adam, thank you so much. Congratulations, Adam, co-founder and CEO of Qwyn AI. We're going to include a link to the website in the description. Make sure to check them out. And just congratulations on all your success and thank you for being on Team Indiana. We're seeing just a lot of great activity, not only about Indiana, but the Midwest as a whole. So thank you for contributing and being a part of that, Adam.
Yeah, likewise. We appreciate the opportunity. It's been a great program. We appreciate the help with awareness for the company. Everything helps, and anything we can do to continue to help push gener8tor and recommend gener8tor, we're here for.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Adam. Take
Thank
care
you.
now.